You're listening to the Reality of It All podcast, candid conversations about today's hot topics. And now here's your host, Tracy Osborne. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. All right. So today we are talking about a topic that as women affects most of us, and that is weight loss and the mindset around weight loss. And with me today is Leslie Urbas, and she is going to help us bust through the myths and reset our minds so that we can shred the weight and have it gone forever. So Leslie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tracy.
I am excited to have you. This is a topic that I can talk about all the time because it's something that I've struggled with forever. And just when I think that I've, finally got my mindset where it needs to be and my head is right, I hit self-sabotage again. It's like my mind just doesn't want to lose the weight. So I'm excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's start with society's pressure on women to look a certain way. How can we change that? We've got to change that. And this is something that's been going on for so long, with media and magazines and all of that. And now it's even worse with social media. But how can we bring about body acceptance?
So I think there's a few things there. I don't know that I can claim it's just solely the media or, social media or anything like that. I think where I would start with that would be, how were you raised? In terms of, if you were raised in a house where your mom or your dad was chronically on a diet or chronically called themselves fat or compared to other people. And this was, if you're in your 30s or 40s, our parents grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s kind of range. So all they had was media, right? And before, photoshopping became like a thing and, perfection became a thing. So their driving came from somewhere else as well. So I do believe that some of this pressure of the way that we look came from something else and through insecurities. So one piece would be, before we even touch on the media, is really, how do you feel? How were you raised? What did you believe in? What did you hear? Oh, we're the fat family, or we're just big boned, or, you won't look like that. Or, were you raised in a house where, your dad was like, oh, she's hot and sexy, and you'd look at the TV and, she's a beanpole that's like, as big as your arm or something. And you're like, well, I'm never going to look like that. And we look at our fathers, right? Our parental, father image as somebody that would be attracting us to what we should look like, right? So I like to start there. But when we get into the media presence, the way that I try to tell anybody, when you're scrolling social media and you see somebody and you're like, wow, look at her, like I have before and after pictures, obviously, because when you get into nutrition and fitness, you care about what that other person looks like. Well, do they have the results you want? But the thought process there is, nobody's going to post from the wrong angle. So we're all going to post from that right angle. So when you have that and you see that, ask yourself, okay, but what if she posted from a different angle? And did she take the picture in midday? Things that I purposely do is I actually will tell you in the before or after picture, taken in the morning, taken in the afternoon, taken from my bad side, taken from whatever, because I want you to know that, like, to me, I want it to be humanized, normalize normal bodies, right? That's the goal of all this, is to understand that it's not being perfect that's going to get you there. But to get us out of, society being able to have a hold on us, we have to change the belief in ourselves. And if we were ingrained with the belief that, from somebody else, that the sexy person is the skinny person that has, what is it from that Baby Back song, like 36, 24, 36 or something? I don't remember.
Like that, yeah.
I was like, I can't think of the numbers. I used to know the song by heart. Funny enough, but yeah. So that's what I really think. So in order to change that, we actually have to change the belief within us, so that way society, the media doesn't impact us as much, and then teach our offspring and teach the people we work with that new belief of like, it's not the skinniness, it's not the perfect body. That's what it is. It's the internal happiness that's the most important.
That makes total sense. And, that's for me, that's something that I always try to remind myself when I'm looking at people, looking at pictures, going, God, I wish I could look like that. I wish I could look like that. I have to remind myself constantly that may not necessarily be what they really look like. There's Photoshop, there's, like you said, positioning, all kinds of things. And then I've seen articles where models will show, what it looks like. They'll lean back or they'll lean in a certain way. And then when they just sit up normal, like everybody else, they have, tummy rolls or whatever. And so they're trying to kind of, break through the stigma that models are absolutely perfect people. And I like that is starting to happen. I am one of those who my father when I was 16, I hadn't seen him for a year. And one of the first things he said to me was, well, if I can't have the sexiest daughter on the block, I guess I can have the shortest. And I wasn't overweight. I was small. I just had I had that belly pooch going on, but I wasn't overweight. But that stuck with me my whole life. And so, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. What kind of childhood did we have? Where did our ideas around body acceptance come from?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about this mindset, because this is the important thing. I mean, we could diet all day long. We could exercise until we're, blue in the face. But if we don't fix that mindset, it's just not going to necessarily work. So how do we even begin to shift that?
Yeah. So as you may know, I teach what I call mindset dieting, which, is the word. The mindset piece is really the word of like me grabbing your attention, right? Dieting is really just everything you eat in a day. But truly, in order to conquer this, we have to change three things. One, we have to change our view of what diet looks like and what it means. People go into a diet like, I will give up this, I will have to do that, my life will change this way, and all of those things. And as I say, when you go to your typical health coach that just got a health certificate out there, or your MLMer, or very low on the low certification, right? There are so many health coaches and so many nutrition coaches out there. And if you are one, this is no offense to you if you are listening whatsoever. But when you have that certification, you're learned one thing, and that is, what can I hand this person and tell them this is what you follow to get the goal? Well, the thing is that one, we're all different people, right? So it's not going to be the same thing for everybody. And two is, you're now trying to get yourself to fit into the piece of paper diet or the snacks or whatever the supplements are, or whatever kind of diet that they've given you to do, right? And if your heart isn't there, you won't follow through. And you can literally know that up front about your diet just by looking at your past history of not dieting, but of jobs, of your business, of any piece that you may be going through. How many times can you say, yeah, I really said I was going to do that this year and I just didn't do it. And it may have nothing to do with dieting, right? So that big piece there is that our typical, as a society, the typical thing that is presented is, this is what you must change. But we don't change our life for a diet, especially because food's emotional, food is social, food is behavioral, food is environmental. So all of those pieces come into play. And if pizza is your favorite food and the diet you go on doesn't allow you to have pizza, that's like saying to you today, sorry, you can't talk to your best friend anymore. And like, your best friend up and leaves you, right? You're distraught. You're a little bit taken back, right? So we have to view that as a piece of this when we go into dieting. So that's step number one. Step number two is that you have to view a diet. Like if I'm going to go into something, if I'm going to choose to accept a diet, what I want you to ask yourself is this something you can see you'll do in 3 months, 6 months, a year, forever? Like if you can already see the end date, I will follow keto until I lose the 30 pounds, and then I'll adapt the keto to my life. Okay. No, you won't. Maybe the first little piece will be, I will adapt, but then little by little, because you didn't change who you were. You didn't change from I'm the fat girl, or I'm the girl that's overweight, or I'm the girl with the tummy rolls, or I'm the girl with X, Y, or Z. Because you didn't change that piece of you, that internal piece of how you identify. Once you get to that, I'm going to, go lazy keto or whatever they call it, relaxed keto, where it's on and off kind of thing. If you go into that, your brain will sabotage you to get you back to where you were, because it doesn't understand how you've gotten to this skinny person, because you didn't change anything. You followed a piece of paper, right? It's just like a test in school. I hand you this piece of paper. You memorize exactly what you need to do in order to lose weight. You do it every single day. At the end, there's a quiz, stand on the scale. You've successfully lost the weight. Yay for you. Now, just like that, once you're done with that, and in school, we go to a new subject, right? And then at the end of the semester, when it's like everything this semester could be learned, you go back and you're like, man, I don't remember what I learned in September, right? That's why, because the piece of paper and the way that we do diets in this country typically is that you have to change your life for a diet. And that's not how it works unless you change how you feel about yourself, unless you change the identity around the diet, unless you really get into the emotional pieces of food. So from a mindset dieting perspective, what I do is I look at all of those pieces. What is your history? What is your family history? What is the way that you want to go forward in your life with dieting? Like, what does it look like to you? Realistically, is it that you want to have pizza every Friday and you still want to lose the weight? Okay, that has to be a part of it. Then that last piece is, how do we do this to make it so that way you get results? You get the body you feel comfortable in, whether it's looking like that model or looking like yourself at your happiest self, and then being able to go from there. So the pieces where people get trapped is that it's like willpower city, and your willpower is only good for so much. We have to change a habit. We have to change our identity. We have to change the belief. We have to change ourselves to see the end result there.
Those are all very, very good tips and so true. I mean, for any personal change, it has to start with changing in the mind. And one of the things that I think we're way too hung up on is the number on the scale. And I know I'm as guilty as anyone else about being scale obsessed, which is sad, because I also know that number on the scale is not a true accurate measurement of your overall health and well-being and size and all of that. But I think, we're so hung up on this number. When you go to weight loss coaches or you go to personal trainers, one of the first things they always say is, how much weight do you want to lose? What is your optimal weight that you want to be? And they don't take into account that, our body mass changes as we lose weight, as we work out, and we build muscle. And so, I could be a perfect size 7 and be 150, 160 pounds. Right. And I think that's one of the things that we really need to address and focus on when we are working on shifting our mindset, is shifting those ultimate outcomes. Not necessarily we want to lose 30 pounds, but we want to wear, a size 10, or we just want to feel better, or you get what I'm saying? We just have to shift our ideal outcomes.
Agreed. So something else that I, teach and I use a lot with my clients is, I want you to draw me the picture of what you think the weight is that you want to be. I want you to draw me how you think your life will change. Like literally write it out. Tell me what is going to be different when you achieve, the weight on the scale, or you lose, or you're the size 6 or the size 10 or whatever it is that you want to be, right? You're desiring to get to that position because you're viewing your life as going to be different, right? Majority of the picture is always, I'll feel more confident. I'll smile more. I'll be more outgoing. I will, realistically, like I won't be afraid to go to the beach with my kids and run around in a bikini or something, or I'll feel comfortable if I'm speaking on stage to people, or I'll run my business more efficiently, or something along those lines, right? We view that as the weight. But my question for you is, as you do that through whatever diet that you're trying to do you also see that if you count your macros or follow keto or do low carb or whatever it is that's that piece of paper that's being handed to you, when you get there, that's still your life. If you try to leave it without fixing these other pieces, you have to include that in your picture. So when I have people draw that picture that they want and that's so important, I then say, okay, you now have that picture and a snap of my fingers, but how are you getting there? Oh, I'm going to track all my food and I'm going to do my macros and I'm going to do this. Okay, then you have to do it for life. And that's where people go, wait, what? I won't have to once I get there. You will, unless all these other pieces adapt, unless you can really figure out, I always tell this story. Typically, I was previously military. I joined when I was 24 to be an officer, a dietitian in the Navy. And when I left my home in St. Louis, Missouri, I had never left my mom and dad for longer than 3 weeks. I think it was actually 2.5 weeks at the point. But on my 4th week of officer development school at 24 years old, I uncontrollably cried for like the majority of the morning. And my senior chief, who is like an enlisted supervisor, looked at my division officer, who was another girl in the group, and was like, you need to take her somewhere. I don't know what to do with her. You just got to get her. So she's the only one that got a cell phone. So she brought me to the bathroom and she handed me the cell phone and was like, call whoever you need to call. So I called my mom just crying. I have no idea why she answered the phone. Like that was divine right there. She answered some random 757 number, which wasn't even the area code I was in. And all she heard was me cry. I said 0 words. My mom talked to me. She calmed me down. I stopped crying at the end. I was like, thanks, Mom. As pretty much what I said, love you and bye, right? And for the next 72 hours during school, all I wanted was a piece of chocolate. I wanted whatever kind. It didn't matter to me, even if it had coconut in it, and I hate coconut and chocolate. I just wanted that piece of chocolate. But trapped in this school, right? I couldn't have dessert. I couldn't have caffeine. We couldn't snack. We had access to nothing. It was 3 meals a day. You didn't talk during them. And there were certain things you couldn't get, right? So I couldn't have it. And my brain for 72 hours with this ultimate desire, eventually one night it hit me. I was like, I want chocolate because every time we were sad or got hurt when we were little, my mom presented us with chocolate. So because I couldn't get the physical contact of a hug, and definitely not in officer development school, I couldn't even have another person hug me, right. Not allowed to do that. It just hit me and I was like, holy cow, right? And that's the things that you have to change. The piece of paper that tells you these are your macros and this is the keto, or this is the, eat these 5 snacks for the day, or any of those other kind of diets that are out there, it's not something that you're going to want to do for life. Because once you get that result and you have that confidence and you feel good, you're not going to sit there at home counting your points or living keto. Somebody's going to be like, hey, you want to go to the beach? You're going to be like, yeah. And then she's going to be like, hey, there's the best margaritas over there. You want to get one? And you're going to be like, yeah. Right. And then boom, boom, boom. Before you know it, your old habit self comes right back out because we didn't change the beliefs. We didn't change the bottom line. And so I love how you say that, like stop valuing based on a scale. I don't, with clients, I never check in on their weight. They can tell me it. Lots of clients will. I have tons of success stories of people losing 26, 46, hundreds of pounds, right? That's really simple, but that's not how we judge it. And when they tell their testimonials, they're always like, oh my gosh, I don't value myself based on the scale. I didn't weigh all during Christmas and I still feel good and my clothes still fit, and decided to weigh myself a week after Christmas and I weighed the exact same number, even though I ate all the Christmas cookies and enjoyed my life, right? This is what they say. And then as I'm like, and you lost weight, right? I typically have to say that. Oh yeah, I lost weight. I feel good. I'm skinnier. I'm in a clothes size smaller than I was before. And I'm like, Okay, thank you for sharing that, because that's what clients like, that's what people go for, but that's not the result that you need to wind up with that. Like you said, the picture that you want instead of the focus on the scale from the trainer is you want to tell them, when I stand up and I raise my arm on a stage, I don't want to see the arm hang, right? I want to see a tight tone arm. That's what I want. If the number on the scale stays the exact same, whatever. So I like that aspect of it. And that's super important. And that's why, even as a good tip for anybody that's listening to this, really paint the picture of, when you get to that happy size or weight or whatever it is that you want, why do you want it? What are you trying to achieve? Tell me all the things you want to feel, all the things that you want to do, the life that you think you will have that will be different with that change. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's how we need to get the goal in doing that with still living the life. Because if you get the picture and then you're like, okay, well, now I've got this perfect picture, but then she says, hey, you want to go get margaritas at the stand? And you're like, oh no, I can't do that. That's not something I want to do. That's also not, in your happiness factor if you do want to have that margarita. So.
Right. That makes, it makes sense. It's so important to definitely have that mindset. And I love what you're talking about with creating that picture. And I think that's something I need to do again. I've done it before, but I know for me, I've kind of lost sight of, where I want to go, especially now that I'm older and, about to hit 50 and all that. One of the things that I realized not too long ago, is that I don't know who I am anymore without being overweight. And it was interesting when I realized that, because I don't remember what skinny me, who I was. And when I was skinny me, quote unquote, that was 20 years ago. So who am I now? And who am I when I do lose the weight? Is that going to be the same person? And it's kind of a scary thing, because it's almost like I'm in that comfort zone, that uncomfortable comfort zone. And I'm afraid to step out of it and find out, who am I going to be as the weight comes off? Does that make sense?
Completely. And my answer would be, I would say that a lot of clients that I've had have started there, or started with the, all or nothing mentality. And the thing with that is, no matter what you decide to pick up or follow, no matter what piece you do, if you don't personally, find the right person to help you walk through getting over that, you will always revert back, because that's how your body identifies you now. Your body identifies you as the overweight person. It's never, even if you lost the 100, let's say you have 100 pounds to lose. I don't even know, and you don't have to say that, but let's say you wanted to lose 100 pounds, right? Let's say you successfully did that. If you in your body don't know what you'll look like, or don't know how your life will change that way, even if you successfully get there, slowly you will sabotage yourself back to where you were without even picking it up, until the scale reads exactly what you don't want it to read again. It will, even if it's like 5 pounds here, 10 pounds here, you'll be like, oh, that's nothing, I'll lose that again next week. Oh, that's nothing, I'll lose it again next week. It will literally do it in the right increment for you, so that way you don't feel like you're screwing anything up, but you will. And those are the pieces that I really truly believe that, mindset dieting, that a dietitian can help with, versus that, health coach. Those are great. And for people that are 100% in, like, I want to do this diet for life, that works for you perfectly. There's nothing wrong with that, with saying that's what it is. But when it's become a struggle, or when it's like, I really don't want to have to think about macros when I'm in my 60s, then it might be something that you think about, because until we change that identity, you won't get there. I myself had to do that, in college. So I gather, what it takes to go through those things. So.
Do you think the word diet alone just, it just conjures up so much angst and negativity? I know for me it does. And I keep trying to not use that word, but I mean, I've been on all of them. I've done them all. And I know that diet to me equates with lack and restriction. and deprivation. So, is it helpful to change that word? So, it's kind of like, instead of saying I want to lose weight, because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to find it again. I want it gone. So I want to shred the weight. I wanted to get rid of the weight, whatever. So do you think that reframing our minds and our wording plays a big part in our success?
Of course. So people then will say, well, don't call it a diet, call it a lifestyle change, right? This is a lifestyle change. So many big companies use that term, lifestyle change. Weight Watchers is a lifestyle change, right? It's no longer diet. They call it a lifestyle change. But the lifestyle change there is the lifestyle change to, I'm going to be obsessed with points. All you did was shift the obsession of a number from a weight on a scale to a points, or from the weight of your food to points, or from the fruit is good to me to fruit is now on the off list because of keto, right? So the word diet really just means everything you consume in a day. But that negative connotation is I'm going on a diet because that was how we say we're changing. So for anybody that truly wants to lose weight, for anybody that truly wants to do that and to shred it and to not see it come back, I don't actually use diet or lifestyle change. Based on your story, we call it what you want. So if you came to me saying, I want to lose weight because this picture that I've drawn for myself is me, confident, sexy in a bikini, walking down the beach, not afraid to run on the beach or something for people to see my belly go or something. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. Whatever it may be, we're not going to call it any of those things. We're not going to call it diet. We're not going to call it a lifestyle change. We're going to call it Tracy's life, right? That's what I'm on. I'm on Tracy's life. And people are like, what are you doing to lose weight? I'm on Tracy's life. What does that mean? It means I eat what I want when I want to. I've learned how to accept food. I'm at peace with food, and I do that, right? But I can't call the diet plan Leslie's life, or people will be like, what the hell is that? This girl Leslie's just saying whatever,
Right.
So that's really where I would say yes, but I would change it to this is my life, right? And why is that important? Because the life also has to include Tracy eating the pizza, if that's what you like. Maybe you don't like pizza, okay? Tracy eating the Chinese food, okay, so she does that. Or, Tracy enjoying chips and cheese and margaritas with her girlfriends or something, What is it that has to be there? Because that's a part of your life. And to eliminate that part is not a lifestyle change. That is a remove things that bring me joy, that, allow me to smile. And now instead of, going out with my girlfriends to enjoy that margarita and a few chips and cheese and to just sit there and laugh and rehash a good old time, leaves me at the end of the night with a massive pile of shame and guilt because I just left my lifestyle change. That's what the diet culture has us doing. Shame and guilt because we don't look like that woman. Shame and guilt because we are this overweight person. Shame and guilt because we consumed a food that we enjoy and enjoyed the moment with our friends instead of sitting back and remaining reserved and counting the amount of chips we put on our plate and watching how much cheese we ate on that chip and only ordering the one skinny margarita and slowly drinking it while they had maybe two and enjoyed the night or whatever. And again, I'm not glorifying alcohol or foods or anything like that, but if that's a part of your life and you imagine doing that, the other piece that has to fall is removing that shame and guilt. So that has to come through your diet lifestyle change, or like I like to call it, Tracy's life, right? You're not going to get that from, Weight Watchers points. You're not going to get that from keto, eat this, not that. You're not going to get that from this is what your life should look like. You're going to get, these are the parameters I live under. And if you're a business owner on top of it, you probably are, because you don't want somebody bossing you around. But yet, when it comes to diet, you allow something else to boss you around. And that's really a key factor I would say would have to change.
You're singing my song here. It's like you're living in my life or telling my life story. So, well, Leslie, thank you so much for coming on. I can't believe we've already spent almost a half hour in here. Like I said, this is something I can talk about forever. So thank you. Thank you for coming on and talking with me and helping me to personally remember that, my outcome isn't the number on the scale. And it's not necessarily even a size in jeans. It's more than that. So thank you for that.
Of course, you're welcome.
Listeners, I will have all of Leslie's contact information in the show notes. Just head over to therealityofitall.com and pull up Leslie's episode, and all her contact information will be there. So if you are struggling with your weight, you are ready to make a change, and you are ready to commit to finding who you are and being who you are, definitely reach out to Leslie. So thank you again, Leslie. And listeners, thank you as always for tuning in. We'll talk to you in the next show. That's it for today's show. Thanks for listening. Be sure you subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok.